Hey, good Tuesday evening, everyone. State Representative Brad Halbrook here, along with State Representative Dan Calkins and Illinois Freedom Caucus State Director Colin Mosley. Welcome back to our Tuesday night roundtable discussion that we try to host every Tuesday night. And we always enjoy that you watch and share and comment on our content. And hopefully it's a help to you. And so with that, we're going to get right into our subject. But before we do that, Dan, welcome. Any thoughts that you might have before we get started here this evening?
No, great to be back with you. Well, fall colors are in. Started last weekend. I think leaves are turning, and then now that the leaves are turning, the leaves are falling. So if you live in an area with a lot of trees and stuff, you're going to get some beautiful colors this weekend, but then the leaves will start falling and we'll be raking leaves here before too long.
Right, exactly. Director Colin Mosley, any thoughts before we get started?
Hey, just got my deer tags last week. Looking forward to shotgun season here in southeastern Illinois, where the whitetails are more plentiful than the Republicans. So
that's plenty. That's plenty.
Something.
That is a lot of whitetails. Yeah. And so this week's agronomic report from Central and East Central Illinois is corn harvest they're moving across the acres. No rain, maybe a little rain here this week in the forecast. Slight chances. Dust is in the air. As anybody's traveled through rural Illinois, the dust is just crazy. But good yields for the most part, and the crop is coming out pretty fast. So anyhow, with that, guys, let's get into our program this evening, and I hope this works. Well, it kind of works. It didn't work exactly like I wanted, but let's going to make one fine-tune adjustment here. There we go. All right. So with that, we're going to talk about a little more info on this advisory question that's on the ballot. Boy, we're right at the 2-week mark from November the 5th and the John Deere layoffs. And with that, let's get right into the first question, or the first discussion will be question number 2, the advisory question that's on the ballot. And so we've talked about this and the other two in the past, but this is an advisory question that sets up about property tax relief by increasing income taxes. How does this work, gentlemen?
Well, it's illegal.
Oh,
it's illegal. You can't do it. Illinois has a flat tax. We beat back Governor Pritzker's progressive tax, constitutional amendment. They didn't get it in. Our Constitution says that everyone has to be taxed at the same rate. So this, again, shows you the ignorance of the Democrats. And we all know why these initiatives are on the ballot, is to try to, they did that in a rush to keep off the parental notification constitutional issue or ballot initiative. Mm-hmm. So they threw these 3 pieces of spaghetti at the wall. But you can't do this. You cannot have a tax on millionaires in Illinois. It's illegal. So I don't care what you vote on, how you vote on it. It'll never happen. It's another sham, and that's the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, absolutely. Well, and it's another thing that's going to contribute. And like Dan said, I think you're right on the money there. I mean, this is the litmus test for them to say, oh, okay, it's been a couple cycles now, can we reintroduce this idea of a progressive tax? To me, I think this is the litmus test for that. And people are not making the connection because of all the smoke and mirrors that's what this is. Mm-hmm. This is them testing out, are people okay with the concept mm-hmm. of what we're trying to accomplish here, notwithstanding that it is an alteration to the tax code. But the other thing is, it's not going to work. How many people do we have to drive out of Illinois? How many business owners, how many businesses, how many millionaire taxpayers do we have to have? It's like, Halbrook and I have discussed this before. For somebody who's a millionaire, it's not that big of a deal to go buy a small second home out of state, or a third or fourth home, and start to change your tax address over to that, partly also to avoid the estate tax.
Mhm.
It's not going to work. We're going to keep driving out taxpayers in Illinois, and then we're all going to be left to foot the bill.
Exactly right. Yeah, and yeah, so just to kind of bring this loop together here, to Dan's point is, the Constitution says flat tax. Tried to change it 2 years ago. It failed miserably. And so the Constitution won't allow it. This is just a get out the vote thing. And Dan, you're right. These three legislative questions basically beat back the citizen-led effort to put the Parents' Rights Coalition on the ballot. What a shameful move, but that's the way it is in Illinois. And so here we are. But yeah,
And
just
just to add one more thing, if you read this article from Wire Points here, they're going after entrepreneurs, LLCs, family farms.
Mhm.
Those are the ones that are going to be stuck with this.
Mhm.
Well, let's think about what is a millionaire's tax? Is it on your net income after taxes? Brad, how you doing? You going to make $1 million on your farm this year?
No, I'm not.
No, but this thing is, it shows you I mean, this is another level of exposure of the Democrats in Illinois, and the people of the state had better wake up and change their voting patterns and their habits. I mean, just because your dad and mom are, voted for Democrats, and now you have to vote for a Democrat, that's not in your best interest. It's not your mom and dad's Democrat party. These are committed, radical leftists that are after the shakedown of every business owner, of anyone that has accomplished anything in this state.
Mhm.
And it's done. You see what those policies have done to this state for the last, I don't care, pick a number, 12, 15 years. Look what happened.
Mhm.
Look what's happened to the economic base of this state. And now what we did last session, we taxed businesses almost $1 billion. We put another $1 billion tax burden on the business community in this state to fund the radical left agenda of the Democrats in Illinois. And this is just another ploy. And Colin, to your point, if this referendum were to pass, have a majority of people say, yeah, we want to tax millionaires. This is the same thing that happened in the governor's progressive tax. There's not enough millionaires to fill that bill. So now it becomes 500,000ers, then it becomes 200,000ers, then it becomes everybody.
Mhm.
And that's what I see coming. And I've said it, and I'm going to say it, and I'll say it till the very end. The goal of this Democrat majority in Springfield and this governor is to raise your income tax. That's all that's left,
Mhm.
is your income tax. And that's what this referendum is about. It's going after the millionaires' income. Well, there aren't enough of them, folks.
Mhm.
And your income will be the next thing on the chopping block. It may take 2 years if this were ever to come about, which I doubt. But that's clearly they've outlined what their agenda is.
Mhm.
And the only way to stop it is at the ballot box. Quit voting for these crooks.
Well, it's evident that they're running out of places to find money. And Dan, you've continued to sound that warning bell throughout the late spring and this summer as we've traveled about and done the town halls and on these live streams. And you're exactly right. And this is just chipping away and chipping away. And which leads us kind of to the problem we're going to talk about here in our next slide is the amount of these companies that are either leaving the state of Illinois or they're closing down operations completely, laying off some of their workforce or all their workforce. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, we could probably spend an hour talking about the John Deeres of Illinois and the decisions they've made over the last several months based on the policies that are being generated by the majority party in the Illinois General Assembly.
Well, it is. I mean, this is kind of a, what came first, the chicken or the egg? We drive businesses out of Illinois, so there's fewer jobs. And so people leave because they're leaving for work. or they, they don't want to be the ones left to pick up the bill, or our population has declined and there's not enough workers to fill these jobs. And so companies are moving elsewhere where the workforce is. So, I mean, this is kind of I don't know how you balance this out. Who left first?
Right.
The employees or the business owners?
Right.
But it is, as you said, Brad, it's about poor public policy, and it is man-made. These are not people, and businesses aren't leaving Illinois because of hurricanes,
right,
natural disasters, or the lack of resources, maybe electricity, our power grid. But we have water, we have roads, we have rail infrastructure, we have airports, we have an educated workforce, we have great people in this state, but we continue to drive them out. And who wants to be here if you have options? And it's not short term. These companies this just didn't start. These layoffs just didn't start. These companies moving out just didn't start this year or last year. These are 5-year, 10-year business plans. And think about what's going to happen in the next 5 years. If this is happening now, what are these companies thinking about?
Yep. We're scared to death of it here, and we have a very significant industrial park where I live, but it's getting harder and harder for these people to make the margins work in Illinois, let alone the workforce, because we are driving people out of Illinois. The companies that are in the area that I live in, rather, that have locations in other states, I can't tell you how many people I know that have transferred to those same factories in Alabama, or North Carolina, Florida, out west, because they'd rather do the same job and make the same money, but their dollar goes a lot farther, not in Illinois. And the companies are starting to see that. The other thing, on the right side of this slide, what I read from this article is nothing operates, on an island. The economy is so bad that the ag industry is not moving equipment like it usually does, because people are trying to make older stuff last longer, trying to make, things basically just keep running instead of going out and trading. Parts are expensive too. And so the demand is down because the economy is so bad. Well, when the demand is down, they don't need as many parts. So then they don't need as many workers. And then it all is it's a vicious cycle. And again, it's the product of bad public policy.
Well, and you're exactly right. And we've talked about this ad nauseum. We talk about the high property taxes, the second highest in the nation. We see the corporate tax rate second highest in the nation. The unemployment insurance is at the top, highest in the nation. I mean, these lists of costs that the majority party just continues to hike and think nothing of it, but yet their priorities are all out of whack. Rather than try to reduce those things to make it feasible for these companies to stay in the state, they want to throw hundreds of millions of dollars at this pie in the sky stuff, the EV stuff, throw money at our adversaries, countries that hate us, to the tune of several $100 million to bring them with the hopes of some promise of a future there, rather than trying to maintain this current base of employers like John Deere that's been around over 100 years, employing thousands of people in multiple states and all across the world, literally. They just seem to don't care about them. I don't understand that position.
Well, we see it right here in the 88th House District, Brad, and over in Piatt County, we have a family-run owned business who's been around for a generation, now passing on to the next generation. And they needed to increase their capacity. And what happened? They moved to Missouri. They opened up a production facility in Missouri. And, one of the founder's sons, is moved out of Illinois over to Missouri to oversee and run this plant. And who are the people that they're hiring? They're hiring people that live in Missouri. And this is a very foundational employer in a rural county, Piatt County here in Illinois. And they took, they moved their jobs out.
Yeah.
And they They are over in Missouri. My fear is that things are going to go so well in Missouri that they're going to move all of their production over to Missouri.
Mhm.
So it's very, very difficult times here.
Right.
Yeah.
Brad, what do you always say?
Illinois is the greatest economic development tool that a neighboring or southern state can have.
Right.
I mean, it rings true every day. Every time you pick up a paper, these headlines about this or that employer, again, like we led off with, is, closing down operations, ceasing, reducing workforce, whatever. The list just goes on and on.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, here's our closing slide as we wrap up this evening. This is where you can find us, IllinoisFreedomCaucus.org, and you can help contribute to the fight of freedom there. And Colin does a great job with our Substack. Colin, we hope that they can subscribe and sign up to that fairly easy, right? Just by going to our website or clicking on this Substack address. Is that how they do that?
Yep. It's all at your fingertips.
All at your fingertips. Excellent. All right. With that, gentlemen, Colin, any closing remarks as we close out our evening, and then we'll go to Dan, and then we'll say good night.
Well, it's an honor to be a part of the fight for truth, logic, and common sense. And Leader Halbrook, thank you for being the glue that holds us all together here at the Illinois Freedom Caucus.
I don't know what to say after that. We look forward. Vote. We've got to elect good conservative candidates. We need to change the culture in this state. I don't care. I do care very dearly. School boards, county boards, it all matters. And it matters dearly at our local level that we get good, solid conservatives who are willing to hold the line on taxes, cut spending, cut waste, and represent the values of all of us here in Central Illinois. We've got races going on for the Illinois House up and down the state. We're trying to, become more relevant in Springfield. I hope that plays itself out in a couple of weeks. But ladies and gentlemen, we need you to vote. We've got to send a message. Who represents us, and it's very, very important. So get yourself, your family, your friends, your neighbors, people at church, make sure that you vote. Vote now, vote early, vote on election day. But please, we have got to turn out here in Central Illinois.
Yeah. Gentlemen, thanks for your words. And guys, citizenship is not a spectator sport. And if you're not sure what to do or where to go, contact one of us or reach out to us and let us know how we can help you. But this is really important. And we hear it every year, right? This is the most important election of our lifetime. But if yet people don't turn out, it may just be the least important election of our lifetime if things don't change in this state and in this country. We're always at a crucial time, but when we see the headlines that we've seen over the last few years and the direction that the majority party wants to take us in the state of Illinois, there's still chance, there's still hope for Illinois. We've got the greatest rail, highway system, waterway system. A lot of stuff moves through the state of Illinois, and it's really, really vital to the rest of the nation that we maintain or make Illinois great again and grow the economy and strengthen its position in the nation. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to close out and say good night for the evening.